Window ribbon. Welcome back to our another lesson of Adobe Illustrator Essential. In this lesson, we are going to cover up all of the tools and functionality the window ribbon or the window tab has to offer. Now, in this tab, we're going to find out all about the window or all about the workspace, how you want it to look like, and which tool or which command you want to use. So, without any further ado, let's just hop onto the lesson by opening up one of the presets in Adobe Illustrator. Now you can see that I have opened up a preset. Now we're going to go through our window ribbon in Adobe Illustrator. So whenever we click on window, the first thing which opens up, or the first command or tool which opens up, is new window. So whenever you click on new window, it will open up another window for me without making another, let's say, preset. Now you can see both of the windows are of the same size, which are both letter. I'm going to go over here and you can see they are the same. So instead of sometimes clicking on file and making a new window or making a new preset, instead, if you want to use the same preset, you can just go off the window and make yourself a new window so that you can work individual ones, or let's say do two projects at the same time on the same workspace but on different windows. So you can save each of them at a specific time, or let's say each of them one by one. So it's going to be up to you. And as this is going to be our last, ribbon, lesson of Adobe Illustrator, so I'm going to be showing you everything which we have in this window ribbon of Adobe Illustrator. Now, the first thing I'm going to be doing is going to be clicking on window again, and then we have is arrange. Now, what type of preview do you want of your windows? Now you can keep it on cascade, which is already on default. Then we have is tile. Then we have is float on windows and float all on windows. Now, first thing you can do is click on tile. When you click on tile, you will basically see that the two of the windows, or let's say two of these panels, will be opened at the same time, side by side. So you can work on it and see differences on them whenever you want. Well, this is somewhat kind of, very advantageous at some point, because it helps you to see the differences, what you're doing with it. If you have like simultaneously you want to work on it, you'll be able to do that from this, or this option. When you want to revert it back, just click on arrange and click on cascade again, or cut one of these off, and then you'll be good to go. And this is how it will look like. Then first off, what you have to do is go off the windows. You're going to click on arrange. And first off, when you make a new window, I'm going to go off on new window, and you will see that it will revert back to this cascade method, or let's say the cascade view. Now, next thing what we have over here is float in windows. If you have another window, I'm going to do is make another window. Now I want it to float. Now I'm going to click on arrange, float in window. Now you can see that the one which I made new is now floating on top. Well, this is somewhat kind of very advantageous, because this is also very, let's say featuredful, and also very advantageous when you want to work on it simultaneously. If you have a bigger screen, then you will not have any issues by using this, okay? And you can also cut them off whenever you want, save it up, and also apply the same tools, but you have to select the tools from this panel and then apply directly over there. Then you have to go off the windows, and then on windows, and the last one we have is float all in windows. You can float all of them at the same time if you have like a couple of them, but if you don't want it, you can just revert it back to how it was. Just click on cascade and it will be back on how it was. Now you can see that it is now floating. You can take it wherever you want, but I'm going to do is keep it right over here. Just drag it over here and it will get back. So when it is floating, just make sure to drag it back over to this panel over here. It will get back into cascade view, or how it used to look like on default. So I'm going to click on windows again, and next we have is find extensions on Exchange. When you click on this, it will find up extensions for you. So what are basically the extensions? The extensions are a method of applying or using multiple software, or let's say increasing the functionality of any software. And it also works in case of Adobe Illustrator. It will take you to a site. I'm going to click on this. And as I've clicked on this, you can see that it took me to the web browser and also to a site which is called Adobe Exchange. From here, you can sign up with your account and also use whichever extension you want. Make sure that you are connected to Adobe account and also your, let's say Google account if you already have. And after that, you will basically find out all the tools you need or whichever functionality you want to apply on Adobe Illustrator so that you can, maximize or, increase the functionality of Adobe Illustrator. And there's also a couple of, extensions such as different of categories such as, the video editing or maybe graphics editing or maybe, presentation making, let's say sound, audio, images, and all of those. And you don't have to get out of Adobe Illustrator. You can get full functionality by staying in Adobe Illustrator and also applying those features directly on Adobe Illustrator. Okay, so it basically saves up a lot of time and work. Okay, now go out to Windows again, and then we have this workspace. So the workspace is basically how your workspace in Adobe Illustrator or how the interface of Adobe Illustrator is going to look like. Now, I most of the time use Essentials Classic because if you've seen my previous lessons, we already know which one to use. But you can use whichever one you want according to your need. Let's say you want to work only on tracing, you want to work only on typography, you only want to work on web. They have all these features. Let's say I want to use only painting. I'm going to only paint in Adobe Illustrator. Click on painting and your workspace will change or customize it in such a way so that you have all the paint tools available on your workspace. Now, let's say if I want to use to customize my, let's say web. So go off the workspace, now click on web and only all the tools of web will appear up, okay, on your screen. You can see that there's links and all of those customizations. Now, if I want maybe something else like, maybe tracing or typography, I'm going to click on typography if I want that. And all the tools of typography will appear up on your screen. And those will be like very easy to find out. You can see all of them are most of the time over here or over from here, but not all the tools are visible over here. What you can do is if you want full functionality, I'm going to suggest you to use Essentials Classic or only Essentials because it helps you to find out all the tools and get hold of them whenever you want, and it is very easy to use. Okay, so use it whichever one you want. And then we have is extension libraries. If you have any extension downloaded on your PC or maybe your laptop, just your device, you can just go off the extensions. If you don't have it applied, just go off the extensions, use the libraries, and then apply directly to Adobe Illustrator. Then we have is control as well. You can see when I press on control, the control panel is now off the grid. Now when you press on control again, that grid or that panel will appear up back again. And this is called basically the control panel of Adobe Illustrator, okay? So you can go off the windows again, and then we have is this toolbar. Now, what type of toolbar do you want? You can see it over here. So I want advanced, but if you want a basic toolbar, you can see the toolbar, or let's say the basic, toolbar panel is now looking quite basic and not all the tools are there. These are like the basic tools, but I most of the time prefer keeping it on advanced because it just helps me to get hold of all the tools. And if you want to apply more tools, you have this option called, new toolbar or manage toolbar. You'll be able to manage them whenever you want, apply it or remove it. You can see that there are basically no tools over here. What you'd have to do is customize your toolbar, and then you have to save it so that you can use it whenever you want, or it's going to be saved up like a preset. Okay, so it's going to be up to you how you're going to work with it. Then on the next one we have is 3D materials. Now, if you want all the tools of 3D and materials on your screen or on your workspace, make sure to click on it, and the 3D material or 3D and material panel will appear up on your screen. Now, one thing about Adobe Illustrator is that you can put it up on specific places. You can see now I have my 3D and material over here, and when I go off the windows, you will see that 3D and material is already active. Now, if I want actions, I'm going to do is also apply an actions, and you can also paste it wherever you want. You cannot put it inside the project panel, but you can put it inside of this panel. You can keep it over here, and you'll basically see the project, the actions panel is over here, the links, and it's going to help you find out what customizations you did recently or what did you do. Now I'm going to do is take this action bar or action panel and directly over here so that I can use it whenever I want. You can see the actions, and you can also see, the links which I've used. And as I did not use any link, it's not available or nothing is there. It's totally empty. Now, if I go to Windows again And then we have is align. If you want the align, you can see the align over here. There we go. We also have our pathfinder and also our transform. Use whichever one you want. Then we are gonna go off over here. So basically what is that you can open up or close any of these, settings by, selecting on them. Let's say I'm gonna do is click on appearance this time. The appearance over here is, you'll be able to customize it. Let's say I'm gonna put the strokes to maybe a bit higher. Now first I'm gonna do is make sure to select any box or maybe make a box, and you can see the stroke has been applied, and you can customize it from over here. You can also take it directly over here so that you can get full functionality and to, get it closer. Now I can also increase the stroke. I can also change the color from over here. There we go. So you can see that this is how it looks like. I can also change the fill. Let's say I want this color, and you can see this has been applied. So now you know how this appearance, tab or appearance section works. Then we have is artboards. You can also fix up the artboards over here, and you can select them whenever you want. It just basically helps you to find out, or this Windows panel, basically, or Windows ribbon, basically helps you to make that specific type of tools appear up on your screen. And obviously, Adobe Illustrator has a vast amount of tools which you can select from or use from. Now, as I already have artboards, now I'm going to do is put an asset export. You can see also the asset export is over here. Now I'm going to do is click on over maybe attributes, and those attributes will appear over here. And I want them to appear over here in this section. You can also do that. And you can see attributes are also over here. You can see the documents and also the artboards. Now you can also drag this one into a specific, let's say whichever panel we have turned on. You can see this one is over here. So I'm going to just take this. I'm going to do is drag this whole thing. And you can see the comments. And I'm going to do is take this comments into this, okay? I'm going to do is take the comment, or whichever one we have, into this panel over here, or into this section. And those will be also inside it, okay? Now we can go off the windows again, and then we have is brushes. If you want to, customize your brushes. Well, I most of the time have it open because it just helps me find out those tools. And you can also take it on this other section, which we have over here. And there we go, we have it. You can also take this whole thing over here, and you can take it out too at the same time. And you'll basically see that this is how it will look like. But I'm going to just keep it inside of this altogether because I'm not going to be using them. I'm just going to show you how this works. And you can also go off the windows again and select whichever one you want. Let's say I want image trace, and it is available over here. I'm going to do is make sure that this is all together with this. Okay, I'm going to do is press on cancel. I'll select on the smooth tool, and I'm going to do is keep it at this corner. Okay, I'm going to go off the windows again, and then in the infos, or let's say I want infos now. You can see all about the info has appeared up. I can also take it or keep it right around over here. If you have a bigger screen, then obviously you can put it up wherever you want and make sure you can increase the functionality. But if you have a small screen, then I'm not going to suggest you to use them because, you're going to have like really small congested space, and you will find out that sometimes it is kind of hard to have this, small workspace. So I'm going to suggest you to not use them. Okay, so make sure to use whichever one you want, only those, and then keep it. Now, one of the most important one is layers. I'm going to suggest you to put layers all the time. I'm going to do is make sure that this one is, totally, different from the other ones. Now I can go off the windows again, and this time I want this pattern option. Now, as I select on pattern, now one thing is that you can also cut it off, and you can also keep it minimized if you want to whenever you want, and also increase, the functionality whenever you want. You can see it like this. Click on this option and all of them appears up. Click on this and all of them appears up. So this is basically how it works. You can collapse it. You can also extend the size according to your need. And you can also do the same thing with properties. So you'll basically be able to put up all of the tools which you need over here on this section. There are 3 different type of sections over here. So make sure whichever one you want to use. Now, what I'm going to do is use strokes, and you can see the strokes has appeared up. Now, instead of that, I'm going to just take this over here and put up another one. Now, you will see that we have now 4 sections of tools. Now, it just basically helps you to organize them on whichever tray you want to use them, as you can categorize them so that it will be easier for you to find those tools and use it whenever you want. Now, let's say I'm going to use on window, I want maybe a type section. Now, in type section, there are like a lot of things. Let's say characters. If you want to customize characters, you want to like customize character style, glyphs, open type, paragraph styles, tabs, all of them are of different section tools. So they are of different tools, each and every one of them. But let's say I'm going to do is use only character styles. I'm going to do is take this one over here and keep it around over here. And I'm going to do is paragraph styles. I'm going to do is keep it right over here. And maybe I'm going to click on Windows again, and on transparency, I'm going to click on it, and I want maybe another section of tools over here. I'm going to do is make sure that it is collapsed. So now we have like 5 sections. So basically you will be able to apply and or use all of the tools on this section or put them up according to your need. Even though, just like I said, I don't suggest you doing that, because sometimes it just gets very confusing and it takes up a lot of space if you have a small screen. Okay, so use only whichever ones you want, and it will be a lot more efficient while you're working with it instead of going through a lot of tools. Now, if you go down, there are also a lot of other tools which you can find over here. Now, if I say I want a version type, you can see it over here. I'm going to do is take it around over here because I don't have any tools. I'm going to click on Windows again, and then I want symbol libraries, and you can see that there are a lot of these things on symbol libraries right over here. And also the ones such as swatch libraries, then graphic style libraries, and also brush libraries. Now you can use whichever one you want. Let's say I want flower type of tools over here only. Now I can select on any of them. First, I'm going to click on brush. I'm going to do select on this maybe. And I'm going to do is put it like this. Or I'm going to do is put one of them right over here. Take one and put it up over here. Take this one and put it right over here. So this is basically how it works, and it is like very simple. I can also use this spray paint tool and put up more of these elements. If you've seen my previous lessons, you already know how you can do that. So if you didn't see that part, I'm going to suggest you to go see that part and use it however you can. First off, select this tool and then select whichever icon or symbol you want to use, and then you will be able to do that. Then I'm going to do is make sure to use this over here. I'm going to do is select it over here, and there we go. We have our 6th, section of tools. And you can see that this one is quite bigger because it has to show up what it is. Then we have is this, swatch libraries. You have Visibone 2, natural, maybe unnatural. I want maybe foliage. Now you can see that this is all the color pattern. Well, there are a lot of color palettes which you will find out on Adobe Illustrator. So basically find out the one, whichever one you want to use, and you can see it will be basically how it works. Now in brush library, you will be able to find out whichever type of brush you want to use. Let's say this time I want to use maybe bristle brush. So I'm going to do is click on Windows again, and I'm going to go after brush libraries, and I'm going to find out bristle brush and select on bristle brush library and use whichever brush you want to use. You can see it over here. Now I'm going to use this. I'm going to do is maybe click on brush. And you can see the brush type has changed. Now I can also use other brushes. Let's go off to Windows, click off on brush libraries. Let's say I want image brushes this time. Image brush, and I'm going to use is these ones. And you can see this is how it will look like. You can see this is how it will look like. Now let's use another one. Let's say I'm going to use this. You can see how it will look. So this is how you'll be able to, save them to. Let's say I'm going to do save it over here. I want to use this over here. Only the brushes are going to be over here. And you can categorize it in such a way so that you can use it. And you can also go through them from here and also change how it looks like. See, this is very simple to use and also quite fun. So I'm going to do is press on Ctrl Z so that I can undo all the process. Now, as it is clean, now the next one which we're going to do is going to be double clicking on it so that I can get full screen. I'm going to do is, let's say over here, I have now swatch libraries. So I'm going to go to swatch, and you can use whichever palette you want. And then we have is this graphic style library. Let's say I want buttons and rollovers. I can use them whenever I want. And you can see this is how it will look like. Okay. Currently, I'm using the brush, but I can also drag them right over here so that I can use it whenever I want. Okay, so this is basically how it works, and you can also save them right over here whenever you want to. Okay, we can go off the windows next time, and then we have is this. One of the most important feature about this having windows is that all the tools are over here. Now I'm gonna be showing you one thing which is like very important. It's about the transparency. This transparency section is very important, so I'm gonna suggest you to use it whenever you want, because when you are using masking or blending it up, it's going to like help you a lot. And moreover, when you are using this layer option, we already have the other one, so you don't have to worry about it. So hope you understood everything about this window ribbon in Adobe Illustrator. And the last one we have is the file which is all the time open, or the one which is active. Okay. And the other tools which you have over here, I'm going to suggest you to, fiddle through it and see how those actually work and what functionality it has to offer. So whichever one you want, just click on it, use it, and arrange it in such a way so that you can find it and also use it and see how it works. So hope you understood everything about this lesson and also about the window ribbon and Adobe Illustrator. Now, as in our next lesson, we're going to learn about the layers and also a couple of basic things. Now let's click on help. Which we're going to do is find out what we have or what Adobe Illustrator has to offer us in help. So you can get Illustrator's help, you can get tutorials, you can get what's new and the update or the history. You can go off to the community of support and also submit the bug if you are facing any. You have system info about the Illustrator, system compatibility. You can manage your account and also update it according to your need. So hope you understood everything in this lesson, and now let's move on to our next lesson of Adobe Illustrator. If you have any questions or if you are facing any problems, then feel free to ask me anything or ask me a question. We will be there to guide you and help you through the whole process. So let's move on to our next lesson of Adobe Illustrator Essential.